guys ready to start? All right, ladies and gents, welcome back after a long hiatus to How are we doing today?
Yes, sir. What's up?
What's up?
Doing
We
good.
have one Evelyn Feindt
Yes.
and one Qsaun McGraw.
Yes, one
Yeah,
McGraw.
McGraw Qsaun. I
Yeah.
don't know why.
Comma Qsaun.
Yes.
Yeah. What's
Hey.
up?
Guess what, guys?
What?
We made movie.
Oh yeah.
Movie was made. Movie was made.
Oh yeah, we did.
That is the topic of this podcast episode. That's why I took a long time. I apologize to my listener out there. But yeah, I think it was worth it. I think it was worth taking some time off. I think this is going to be a different episode. I just want this to be more casual and kind of chill and a
Word.
debrief to help process the past few
Yes,
months
sir.
that we all went
debriefing. That's what we doing.
together. So both of you been on before, but just a refresher. You guys were we all met in Playhouse West. It's an acting school. And how long? So Evelyn's still in it. 2 years fully?
2 years and some change. So 2 and 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
2 years and 3 months. Cool.
Yes.
And Qsaun was there for 1 year and 8 months, if I recall.
I think so. Like just about. Yeah.
Aren't we just like good friends like that? And then just like,
Yeah.
Exactly, to the point.
To the T.
Yeah, to the
Yeah.
T. But it was a good class. It was a good experience and everything. But by the end of my 8 months there, I realized, and I think you guys understand this as well as anybody, but like the class doesn't help you do like the industry stuff. It doesn't help you like with auditions that much.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously it helps with acting, which is like the main thing for sure.
Yeah.
But like production wise doesn't really like give you a segue into starting working.
Mm-hmm.
So after the 8 months, I kind of figured that out, and I was like, I actually want to do stuff. And so then I got headshots, and I was like, I could audition, but then the audition process seemed like daunting. I was like, why don't I just do my own thing? And that was when we were on kind of the same wavelength. Like you were headed out of the class because you kind of wanted to start taking the industry stuff serious as well. And so I was like, let's do a short film together.
Yeah, that seemed like forever ago.
It seems like so long ago. Was that April or May?
Yeah.
Back
Just about.
in spring. Yeah. So we kind of did that. I wrote a script, just like I had just one scene written out, and I just like fleshed it out. I was like, we could do this. I can make this in Philly with 2 people. It's not going to be that big of a deal. And so we got all hyped up on it. We had some casting ideas. We brought it to a few people, and we brought it to Evelyn, really nervously, by the way. So, Evelyn, actually, let's give, I don't know if we dived super deep into your background with acting, but did you do any acting gigs before Playhouse?
No. Well, I was in musical theater as a part of my dance studio when I was in 7th grade.
Oh.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I wasn't very good.
Then you joined Playhouse West because why?
I joined because I had always knew in some strange
In
way
your heart.
sounds frou-frou and silly. And it kind of is, but I kind of always knew in some way that I was going to act, I guess.
Sure.
And when I joined, I was like working my first job post college, and it was pretty terrible. So then I literally on the acting subreddit, which is like not even a informative place.
Yeah.
I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then I searched the subreddit for Philadelphia acting schools. I did not even use google.com.
Yeah.
I searched the acting subreddit.
Wow.
And the first thing that came up was Playhouse West. I did no further research. I was just like, oh, it's kind of close by. Okay, I'll go.
Well,
And,
it's like the first thing that pops up on Google.
Yeah.
Too,
Yeah.
It's because Tony makes us all review in December.
But that's what's kind of hooked you up and connected you into the other jobs that you've done.
Not really. I mean, I just kind of then auditioned for stuff.
Yeah, because I don't know. Tell me if this is true. You've been like flown out to do jobs before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that happen?
I don't know. I think like the best stuff that's felt the most momentous has occurred in this year. There also became a time when I was like more of like I'd been at the school for longer and like had done advanced stuff more, and I felt like much more comfortable in my abilities. Not that comfortable, but like more,
Sure.
where it's like,
Got a little confidence.
yeah, and like
Mm-hmm.
doing auditions and stuff. I think honestly, once I got to Spoon Rivers and
Mm.
once I started auditioning for stuff around then it really started to like I felt like I could, comfortably do
Right.
an audition and like do whatever I need to
And
get into
Spoon
that.
Rivers, just for those who don't know, you would be able to explain better than I would. You both did Spoon Rivers, actually.
Yeah, and I feel the same exact way about like once we got to spoons, it makes you work harder like as an actor.
So
like,
yeah, what is Spoon?
you could probably explain it better than me.
Okay. I feel like I'm talking a lot. Well, Spoon River is a part of the advanced portion of the curriculum at Playhouse West, which is pretty much Meisner training, which is acting method sort of developed by Sandy Meisner.
Mhm.
And so this is the last part of Sandy Meisner's original curriculum, where there is this anthology book written by Edgar Lee Masters in the late 1800s called Spoon River Anthology. And it is a book of poems, and all the poems are the
Poetry.
well, yes. But the title of the poems are these people who lived in this fictional town, Spoon River. And all these people are dead, and so their poem is like kind of the thing that they say, which is suddenly they all come back from the dead for one day and they can say one last thing. And this is the thing that they say to, some people it's vague or who they're talking to. Some people it's very specific who they're talking to. Yeah, and it just, there's like a lot of poems, and there's like because it's like a, town pretty much. And
Right.
so there's a lot of different people, and you get little kernels. Some of them are connected. You get little kernels of like their life stories and stuff, and it's very, I think, like monumental, and just like as a work of writing and like literature itself, it's very
Sure.
monumental because it's like capturing so much of like how intense the human experience is, where it's like they've been dead, they come back, and it's like, what would be the last thing that you'd say? Like, how would you sum up your
Right,
life
after you've lived an entire life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and like you just when you're taking on something like that, you can't do it like casually at all.
Right.
That's like Tony was like really like honest like when we
so
were
like
first
as a
doing it.
work of art, it's like a big monumental thing, but as an actor too.
Exactly, because like it forces you to like actually like make choices and really understand like what you're talking about, and
It's written in like old English.
yeah, true, exactly. But like you have to not portray, but like actually like feel like what's going on, like actually like make the words come to life in a sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where were you at in the process when you had finished Spoons basically?
I was nearing finishing.
Okay.
Nearly finishing.
And
Yeah.
then you just dipped.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll explain why I left. I left I left because I like obviously Spoons was like kind of sort of the last part of like the Meisner training, and I felt that I got everything I needed out of that specific kind of training.
Right.
And I also wanted to do more auditioning and make
Right.
more time for myself for that and be more so of a working actor.
Right.
But also like learn about like new things and new methods, because I just don't want to be like a one note kind of actor,
Yeah.
Try to like spread myself out and like learn as much as I can to be, the best kind of version.
Variety is
Yeah.
the spice of life after all.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
but you decided that this was the time. And then
Mhm.
so what was your perspective on the whole short film thing?
Well, when you brought it up to me, I was automatically like down with it, because like even Tony, he says like you should be like working on like what do you say, like 2, 3, 5 to 7
5 to 7
short
5 to
films
7.
like a year
per
Oh.
year.
at least. But yeah, so for that reason I was already down with that. But when you explained to me what you wanted it to be about, and how you wanted to go about it, I thought it was like kind of special, and that's why I feel like it's good that we took like as much time as we needed to with it.
Yeah.
And it really worked out too.
It really
It really worked out for all
did.
of us, because like on set it was wild, but I feel like we all grew. Like we all grew
Definitely,
together.
definitely. And I want to like work up to that moment, but I
Yeah.
like kind of the preamble of it,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
because
yeah.
there is so much, especially like on my end, like it's so like on brand for me to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna do it myself. Like with the
Yeah.
podcast and like stand up, is just like I've just learned over the course of my entire life that nobody's gonna do anything for you. You just gotta
Right.
do it all
Right.
yourself.
Right.
I was also in this place where like I knew I was a creative and I have some of these outlets, but like I had hit a creative block within stand up and then even in the acting class. So I did it for the 8 months and it was like it just wasn't like it was super fulfilling and fun at the time when I was there. But then by the end of it, like I said, it was just like I felt like I wasn't growing at a rate that I wanted to do. So I was really just trying to figure out what I wanted, like what direction, what path I wanted to take. And I remembered I had written some scripts back in college just for fun. And a scene came to me, and it was that scene in the first in Rittenhouse Square Park, because I had seen the Michael Jackson impersonator, and he was so bad. And I saw him like again. It was like after like 2 years of seeing this guy over and over again. I'm like, bro, you gotta get better, right? But then I was just like, yeah, but he's like out here, he's like doing it, you know what I mean? And then it just became like so relatable for me. It's like, damn, I'm kind of like that guy. It's like I literally am a Michael Jackson impersonator on
Yeah.
the inside. We
There's
all
no
are.
differences whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Michael Jackson on the inside.
Right. Right. But I was processing, being in a new city as well, and the whole romantic idea of finding a person in a friend group in a new city and fitting in. I think we all want to fit in, right? But it just never plays out the way you want it to.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, but what if I romanticize the idea where it does play out the way you want it to?
Yeah.
And a scene just kind of came to me like in a dream, which is weird, and it didn't even end up making the final movie, but it was the one, it like where I mean most of it did make it in, but it was like mainly the Adderall scene where it's like the
Yeah.
two characters are like meeting for the first time and he's like kind of hitting on her, and I had just like Before Sunrise was like on my mind, like I rewatched the series and I was like, that's so fucking good. And and then it was just like, yeah, but what if they were degenerates? You know what I mean? It's like if it were me just trying to do a Before Sunrise, I would fall asleep. You know what I mean? So it's like, what if they both take Adderall and like had a whole night together or whatever?
Yeah.
And that part we ended up cutting, probably for the best, I would think. But yeah, so it started out with just like, okay, it's just gonna be two people. I got like a camera, and I was like, I can get like decent mics, and I could just film it all by myself and everything. And I asked Qsaun, and he was like, yeah, dude, let's fucking do it. And I was like, all right, I got a partner in crime, let's go. And we did the scene. We went through the script. The first, like, Qsaun and I actually had a rendition of it that we went through before we even sent it out
Very
to other
early.
people. Yeah.
Very, very early.
And he actually helped. I mean, you guys both helped me write, obviously, but like, I did like just threw it all down on paper, and Qsaun and I went through it, and we were like, I needed a few plot points. So I was like, there needs to be a couple more stops along the way, I think. And then so we got to the point where like, all right, like there was literally a moment where I think it was the beginning of, it was during, what was it, Sips or Taps? What's the one?
Sips. Yeah,
Sips.
yeah.
It was during Sips. And I was like, all right, dude, we're going to do this. I bought a camera. I was like, are we going to take this seriously? And you're drunk as hell.
Yo, I remember this specific day. He's like, yeah. So I got everything ready to go. Like, so, like, are you down to do this? I'm like, yeah. No, but like, I really like, I don't know, like when you had asked me like, are you like really, really like sure you want to do this? I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, okay.
Because I knew
Like,
it was like,
I was like, yeah, I want to do it. But then when you said that, I was like, okay, this is real. All right.
that's what I'm saying. Because I had dropped like, I don't know, it was like $1,000 on a camera or whatever. And I was like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, I can use that for my podcast if we don't end up doing this. But if I'm going to invest more in this, like, we need to do the thing. So that at that point, I was like shaking. And I was like, are you going to take this seriously too? And you were like, yeah, dude, there's a lot going on in my life right now. But like, when the time comes, like, I'm going to be there and I will 100% be in it. And like, honestly, you've been my rock through this whole thing. Which I appreciate. Oh,
This has been the real love story of the movie.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was really good. I'm glad that you wanted to. At that moment, you did say yes, even though you were drunk as hell, and we had a good time that night.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Where'd you guys go?
McGillen's, I think, was the place.
Oh.
That was next to we were at
Bun?
Jewelry Beer Garden.
Okay. Yeah. It was outside. So after that, we were like, all right, we had a few people in mind. I sent it out to a guy who I was like, oh, we'll get him for sure. He's in our class. He doesn't really do that much work. And then he like read it and sent it back to me. He's like, yeah, you need to cut 95% of the dialogue. And in that moment, I like was broken down and I was like, oh no, this is not gonna happen. I suck. Everything is the worst. And at the same time, we had also asked Evelyn, who we knew had been flown out to work and like had actually been on sets before.
Evelyn is just the best actor we know.
Yeah,
That's
I mean
way
she's
more
really good at
professional
class
than
too.
I
I
am.
know you're
She's the
semi
best.
like to us though,
The
to people who
best.
haven't done anything.
She's the best.
So we were like, are we gonna be able to get her? I don't know. Let's ask. And so she was like, yeah, I'll read the script. Let's see how it goes. And how did that go for you on your end?
Well, I remember you guys asking me because it was after we went to ramen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think reading the script is interesting because, like, going in with the knowledge that, like, you guys are novice screenwriters.
Right.
But you also are obsessed with Before Sunrise.
True.
So I was like, all right, this is my frame of reference.
Yeah.
This is the frame of reference that I have right now. And I thought that there was some pretty interesting stuff of like I think your voice is very clear, Steve.
Thank you.
In just like what, interests you and like what the two people talk about and stuff. And yeah. And so I was like, yeah, I mean, seems pretty interesting and real talky stuff. And for me, I was like, I don't cry, which is awesome. But I did end up crying, actually.
Yeah, briefly.
Yeah, briefly. Thank God. We can cut out on that.
In post, no crying.
Yeah.
No, we're keeping it.
But yeah, and it was like, I don't know, I guess as a growth thing for me, just being able to do something where I'm just like fun, because I, as a person, am. However, everything that I acted, I'm suffering.
Right.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think I could tell that there was still a lot of like work to be done.
Mm-hmm.
But that it wasn't there was still a long road ahead of it.
But it
if
could
that
be
makes
done.
sense. Yeah. Like it wasn't like what a dumpster fire that it's like not even worth looking at.
Right.
Which I would also never say or think that, but that is not what I thought.
Yeah. I mean, you're entitled to think that if it was a natural thought for you. But
no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was...
Well, and then what was the thought? So walk us through the thought process of this, because at that moment you sat us down. You said, "Yes, I'll do it. However, I want to be a producer on it."
Yes.
So
well, so here's the thing. You came to me, Steve, with a 30-page script in like 7 different locations, all across Philadelphia, and you're like, I have a camera and a dream. And I was like, no, the
crazy
fuck
work.
you don't.
Crazy work.
I was like, all right, and I do too, but I'm not telling people about it.
Yeah.
So it was great that, the wide-eyed eagerness of you to work, and I think you also wanted to be like a thing that was good too, and not just like something like that felt very student filmy, for better or for worse.
Right. So it was a little bit of a learning experience for you and a challenge for you, but it was also because you felt bad for us.
That's that's not what my intention is to be, because I did not feel bad for you guys.
Okay.
I'm trying.
Just Evelyn is just a very organized person.
Yeah.
And
she knew that we would make a mess.
I didn't know that. I just wanted to make sure that what we were all, because you guys seem serious about it. So I was like, and I want to be serious about it too. And I've been on good sets and I've been on bad sets. And I was like, if I'm involved in this, I'm not making it a bad set.
Right.
Because it's miserable for everyone. Everyone has a terrible time. Like, it's a fucking budget film. Like, we're asking for people's like volunteer time and energy. It's like and it's gonna be like our friends. We like also have to be nice to them and like maintain the friendships that we have.
Right.
So yeah, and I was like, well, why not do it and like ask for favors and like try and make it as good as possible, because we also weren't working on like a $0 budget, which was nice. That there's like room to be like, okay, we can kind of think about this option of like renting a bar or something, or and we're not like totally limited by being like we have to get everything super guerrilla style or else like we have nothing. Like there are backups and there are people that we know, and so I guess it was also kind of like, why not try and make it good
as
and
possible.
professional looking, and even though it's like, you know, a new experience for a bunch of us, like why have it be a bad new experience when it could be a good new experience?
Yeah. No, true. And it was a great experience. Like all of the things that you said about a bad set, it was not that.
Yeah.
Like, which was, I'm very grateful for that. And I do give you a lot of credit, because obviously it wouldn't have been what it was without you. But we were a powerhouse. I think we all did it. You know, we all
for
played
sure.
Our parts in it.
I mean, you guys, like, it wouldn't exist without you guys. Like, that's the first step, you know? I'm not taking
the
credit
the eagerness.
Yeah, I think that's
the little boy with the dream.
No, exactly. Like, I think you need that to be able to keep going, and like, well, I mean, I think like filming is so interesting, and like working more behind the scenes like this. Not even from like an actor standpoint, but from like a producer standpoint, working with like a director or something is also a new, very different kind of collaboration, you know? And I think the relationship is a lot different. And so like for me, I think one of the biggest things I learned was like, okay, my relationship with Steve is like changing constantly, because on one hand, it's like he's, you know, him as like a director, me as like a producer, and then it's like we go to rehearsal, and then it's like that, and then it changes from like director to actor, and like, or like when we're like kind of workshopping the script, and I'm like I feel like when I gave you a lot of notes on the script, I wasn't really doing it as an actor. I was kind of just doing it as like, this needs to be like the best version that we can get it to be. Yeah. Instead of like,
which in a sense was a script. You know, you had a writer part.
Right.
As well. Yeah.
You had many different hats.
Yeah, a lot of hats. I mean, we all wore a bunch of different hats.
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah. Which, speaking of that, just by the way, this was my first set, so I really had no idea what all of the positions were. Like, the first thing is like, oh, we're getting Olivia for crafty. I'm like, what's a crafty? And then I just kind of, you're like, yeah, we're gonna get muffins, and we're gonna get like trail mix, and I was like, oh, I guess it's a food person, huh? Yeah. So, after you signed on is when things really started to snowball, and I think at that point, you and I, Qsaun, also realized that we're like, okay, we got to make this, like, we got to like take this real serious.
That's when we got the ball rolling. Like, we met a lot of times before we actually shot. Like, even not even just rehearsing, but like just going over like the script and like making changes where they needed to be made.
So that was like the first step, and like that was even first step before we like gave it to Evelyn. We were like, all right, let's go over the script a few times, make sure it's like good. And then when she came on, she was like, well, I want to get all these people in on it as well. But if we do that, we need to make sure the script is good again. So we all went through it, and which is another thing that I've learned, which it doesn't always happen. That's cool, is that like you guys have said, it's like, first of all, the writer and the director are not always the same person. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they're not. And so the fact that I was the writer and I got to be a director on it, I think helped our case, as well as you guys being the producers on it. Really helped as well, because I knew what the vision was, and I knew what the writing like was meant to be and everything. But then being able to work directly with you guys as the actors as well, to rewrite the script as a writer and a director, working with the actors on making the script fit your voices, I think was like, you know, key in making it sound as natural as possible. You know what I mean?
For sure. And there's a lot of trust that goes into that. Like, every way, like you trusting us and us trusting you as a writer and director. Yeah. And like even when we were on set shooting, there were some times where we were like in public and you couldn't hear us, you couldn't hear what was going on, so you had to really trust us actually doing the scene. Yeah. Us like
I'm still
making sure the sound is right.
I know.
Like all that, you had to put a lot of trust in us, and I think we accomplished, you know, what needed to be done.
Yeah, and I believe.
Wait, you wanted those scenes in different accents, right?
Yeah, they're all in the Irish
like
accent, right?
Southern.
Oh yeah.
I did like a Southern, and I did like a Cockney accent. You
Haircut.
know?
Yeah. But I think it's cool because like you think about like a big budget like Marvel movie or something like that where it's like 5 different writers wrote the script and then the director's like, all right, I think I could do this, and then the director just like gives like the actors get it and then they're all just meet for the first time on the first day on set or whatever it is. So I think it was really cool and like unique and um like intense that we all got to be together for the creation of what would become the shooting days. You know what I
It
mean?
all helped that we were already friends before any
Yeah.
of this.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
hmm
And then we got everything and we got the script out, and that was another moment of anxiety to like sending it out to other people.
yeah, and we had multiple conversations. You came to me, you was like, "Yo, like, should I even be doing this?" Like,
Yeah.
I was like, "Yo, like, I know it's a lot of pressure, but it's not just you. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's
Again,
not
you were
just
my
you.
rock. That was like there were so many
Appreciate you.
moments because like especially like the week before. I think it was like
Mhm.
the Monday before we
Yeah,
started shooting. I like wanted to talk to somebody and like I was like nobody will understand. Like my parents wouldn't get it. Like somebody that has to be involved like would get it. So I called up Qsaun and I was just like, dude, like the amount of money we've already put into it, the amount of money we're going to put into it, and then now, like after that was after we had Jonathan, like
Mhm.
had him signed on. I had like looked at his work, and then like you had that group chat with everybody, and I'm like, if this isn't good, like we're gonna let all of these people and ourselves down. You know what I mean? Like it was so much anxiety.
Mhm.
And Qsaun was just like, listen, man, I'm in it too. I feel like I probably gave you a little bit anxiety, which I didn't mean to do.
no,
But
no, no, I'm used to it. It's fine. Like,
yeah,
and it's understandable too, though, because like you want it to be good. So in a way, it was kind of good that you like felt that way about it.
right. And that's what you
Yeah.
said to me.
hmm
Like the fact that I was worried about it is better than just being like, you'll be all
yeah.
right. you know. So yeah, that definitely helped calm me down. There were so many like waves of like leading up to it where it was just like when it started to be like a month and a half out, I was like nervous about it, and then like a month in, I'm like, yeah, I've kind of accepted it. Like it's good. Like it'll be fine. And then like a week out, I was down. I was like
Yeah.
freaking out. And then and then work was like picking up my like daytime job.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, at least I get to take PTO. I took PTO Thursday, Friday, and Monday. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I get a long weekend. That's cool.
Yeah.
And it'll be like something that I want to do. And Thursday rolled around, had PTO, and that's when I met Jonathan, our director of photography. So, for those of you who don't know, because I didn't know, there are so many positions on set. There are so many positions on set, bro.
There
Like,
are, yeah.
there was like,
Mhm.
I was like, even Lynn's laughing because of how stupid I sound right now.
No.
But it's facts.
It's
I was
not.
like director, art director,
Yeah.
assistant director,
Mhm.
director of photography. So director of photography is a person who holds the camera,
Not necessarily.
not always, but
Sometimes
like
if you have a bigger set, it could just be a camera operator.
Yeah.
camera operator.
Yeah.
But they stand and make sure.
Yes.
What does the cinematographer do?
That's the same thing as DP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, cool. Yeah. So yeah, and then of course we hired a sound guy, and that was like a whole roller coaster in
Shout
itself.
out Alex.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. He
Our
luckily was
BFF Alex.
no BF. Yeah, yeah. He was really good in the end as well, having like the live mics and the boom mic and everything. And then art director was just like make sure set design looks good.
Yeah, he kind of turned into like a grip as well, helping
Yeah.
with lighting and stuff.
Which is a person who stands and grips things.
Yeah, I still get confused between grip and gaffer, but I know they're both in the lighting department.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then gaffer. And then like, but that's the other thing is like, you guys had all so much like experience. Like even like so you think of a PA on a set and you're like, oh, they're just a person who's just like there to get coffee or something like that. And like Annie was like.
Mhm.
Like there was a point where Jonathan was like, "Man, I wish I had some like gaff tape," and she's like, "Oh, I got some," and just like pulled some out for him. I'm like, "Yo,
She's a professional
She
PA,
was a
man.
professional
Yeah,
PA."
she had everything, yo. She was the real MVP.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
dude. She killed it. And so it's like being with all of these people and understanding the positions, and then being like, "Oh, I'm the director on this." Like the first day, we had everything set up, and like everybody was ready to go, and Jonathan was like, "Are you gonna say it, dude?" And I'm like, "Say what?" He's like, "You gonna say action?" I was like, "Me?" I get to say that. Dude, I felt like a little child. I was like a little schoolgirl, dude. I was like so excited. I was like, all right, cool,
So
yeah.
chicken out, like,
And I
Sure?
got to shout it, yeah. And
Mhm.
that was like probably the highlight of the whole thing
Mhm.
for me. So yeah, it was a lot of pressure, and I actually talked to somebody afterward who had been on a few sets that I know from New York, and he was just like, "Wow, it must be so interesting to be on a set where the director is like coming onto the set with like the heart of a child, where he's just like, all right, guys, yeah, let's do it,' you know, because usually the director is the one that's like, this is my vision, and I don't
Mhm.
know, has to like kind of be the guy to I don't know point people around and the leader and everything, which I wanted to fill those shoes,
Mhm.
which I think by the end of it I started kind of picking it up a little bit. I wish I'd have known everything I knew on the fourth day that I knew on the first day, but can't have the fourth day without the first day. So, how was it? I'm curious for you guys, like after, like especially Evelyn, because you've been on set before, but you took a lot of the producing aspects of it as well. I mean, you both did, but like when you started acting, like how much of the other stuff was on your mind, and like, were you able to kind of get into it pretty well?
Well, I was very nervous before
Sure.
going into it because me and Evelyn, we've been going to the same school for damn near 2 years, but we never did anything together. Like maybe like a couple
Oh
exercises
yeah.
or like maybe like one like short scene, but that was it. So I was nervous about like how like we would work together. But once we did rehearsals and we actually got into it and actually doing it, I kind of like okay, all right. She's very easy to work with, great scene partner. She's already like one of the best actors right now. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, that was like I feel like the most like nerve wracking part of it for me. When we were on set doing it, I guess like the producing side, I was like worried about certain things before, but when you called action, it's like okay, that has to like go out the window. We have to do this like now
Yeah.
because we got to treat this seriously because this is like our baby. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. But for you,
Yeah, I mean, I think it helped again that we'd rehearse so much, and again, Qsaun's also great to work with, and I guess when you film, it's like you can't really worry about that. They're definitely on the first day.
oh my god.
I was still worrying about that because we
Yeah.
were down a few people because people, couldn't be there all the
Life
time, were
happens.
coming late or da da da. Da. Well, everyone showed up on time, but like people were their call time was later because they couldn't get there until later, and because
Right.
everyone's giving their free time. So I was like, making the schedule was insane, trying to figure out where people were
Yeah.
It's where those organization skills come in.
Seriously, that's
Like,
another part of it that like I'm so fortunate and happy that you were on it for, because you literally had like a day-to-day schedule. Not only did you have the day-to-day schedule,
going.
but you made the call list as well, which
The call sheet.
call sheet, my bad. Call sheet, which is a thing that they send out to everybody that's going to be on set, which has the times of where we're going to be, like the address, phone numbers, whose position is where, you know what I mean? Like all of
nearest
that.
hospital.
Nearest hospital, which I didn't know about.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I also had a first
Got
aid
to.
kit, but thankfully we didn't really use it, except when Jonathan rolled his ankle.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But it's okay
Doing
because
backflips
we
in
had
the
it
park.
locked and loaded.
Yeah. But yeah, like all of that stuff, and then even like I didn't know, like you guys were like, you should do a shot list. That was like 2 weeks beforehand. I was like, what is a shot list? And so this is what a shot list is you break down every single shot. And that's the other thing, like I didn't know. I know this is probably basic to you guys, but like the clapper, like the guy you see
Slate?
bloopers, the slate,
Slate,
yeah. You see like the slate, like they're called like, all right, what, circadian dance, scene one, take one, right? So this is like for people who don't know, like the first shot in any scene or whatever is usually like a wide shot of what's going on, right? And so that's scene one, take one. You want to make sure the actors get through it. Okay, they got through it in one take. Awesome. Then you have to do a close up shot, scene 1A. And it's like a closer, and they have to go through the whole thing again.
Yeah.
And like and if it's an emotional scene, you have to put yourself through that emotion again. Scene 1A or scene 1B, over the shoulder of one character. Scene 1C, over the shoulder of the other. And you have to do this so many times. And it was like I had no idea. I mean, like subconsciously, but
Mhm.
you never like actually seeing it happen. You're like, wow. you have to do this scene 15 times in a row from all these different angles, and like having a scripty, which is another position I didn't know. Scripty is the one that like works on continuity as well,
Script
right?
supervisor.
Yeah.
Script supervisor. Yeah.
Shout out Vanessa.
Vanessa was so good
Yeah,
at that.
a great script
It's like
supervisor.
when you every time you move the camera, it's the same scene, but the
Mhm.
shot is a little closer or something. It's like, okay, you need to make your hair moved a little bit,
Mhm.
or this was in the background, or you know what I mean, like all
Mhm.
that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was like so overwhelming, and like
Yeah.
the lighting has to be the same every time, and
Mhm.
that's the other thing. Jonathan, like again, is like, I thought focus was the only thing. Then he turns on like a thermal lens on the camera to like catch the warmth of how
Mhm.
lighting looks. It's like, yo, so much goes
Yeah.
into production. Like,
Yeah.
I once heard, I think it was Seth Rogen on a podcast say, like, he's like, it's just amazing that any movie ever gets made. He's like, our goal is like, even if it's a shitty movie, is like, just make shitty movies that don't lose that much money. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's
Mhm.
so much that can go wrong. Starting at the script, starting with rehearsals, on to the days of shooting, and then, of course, post, which is where we're at now. Which I also realized after doing everything, I'm like, oh, we only got like 50% of the whole project done. There's still
There's
half of
still a
everything
lot.
left to
Still a lot.
do.
A thing can be made or broken in the edit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to scare you, but it's true.
No, it really can. So it's like, think about, and you guys have probably thought about this, but when I talk to people that don't understand it, but it's like, okay, so you have, in any given scene, you have all of those shots we were talking about. And you also have a lavalier mic, which is one sound file, and then you have a boom mic, which is a different sound file. And so you get all of these files. They're regular files. You know what I mean? They're like C1003 or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're unnamed. So you give this to an editor, and they have to go through and like label every single one, find which audio recording goes to every single one, and then and there's like and match all of them up. The clapper is perfect for that. But then you have to like fix the sound because there's background noises and shit that go on, and you can like compress it and normalize it. That's one whole thing. And then you have to line it up. You have to make sure like there could be only one or two takes that are good, but it's like which one do you use? And or maybe this one take from this scene works well audio wise with, you know what I mean? There's like so many different ways
Yeah.
to line it up. And that's just one scene, you know what I mean? Like the whole 30-minute movie is crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And then you still have to put soundtrack to it and
Mhm.
sound design,
Design.
and then, you know, coloring, which is another thing I didn't
Mhm.
even know about either.
Coloring is a thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool because making a movie really is such a team effort, and I'm glad that we were able to get a lot of our friends and people we knew and like involved in it. Where it's like, I mean, no one, like everyone's learning, you
Mhm.
know, like you saying this is your first set, like you're learning all this stuff for the first time. It's like everyone is also kind of learning something for the first time too.
Yeah.
And like, you know, it's not bad to be in that position, I don't think.
I mean, that's the
Um,
position you want to be in, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like I think we had surrounded ourselves with enough people who had like just enough expertise. And, like I think going in for like sound and Jonathan to work on the camera and everything was like a great idea. So that way we have like really specific knowledge gaps kind of filled more.
Sure.
And then other stuff people can just kind of learn and be a little bit good at or a little bit better at, and just like be solidified in that one area, and just have as many like gaps stopped and filled, but also, you know, like everyone is part of this group too, so it's like we're all still trying to like lift each other up and like make sure that this thing happens and like make sure that it gets done, because
Yeah.
no one, you know, yeah, like great vibes. Like no one thought that they were actually better than anyone else. Like
Yeah.
that's
Right.
not the case.
And nobody was like goofing off like on set. Everybody was like serious about what was going
We
on.
were goofing
We
off the
definitely
whole
still-
time.
No, like we
What
had
set were you
fun.
on?
We had fun, but like when it was time to actually like do it, like everyone was like put in their place. They got in their places, and they did what needed to be done. We
Mhm.
did have fun though. We had a lot of fun, but when it was time to like actually get down to it, we didn't play.
Yeah, well, especially on like the last night of shooting when you're on a time limit, and so that's the other thing is like
Mhm.
most shoots are on a time limit,
Mhm.
and of course
Yeah.
we did a decent amount of work to make sure that we had a schedule that we were following, but
Mhm.
for the most part, we did it pretty well.
We
But
mostly like got through our schedule earlier than we thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Scheduling it, I was like, it could go either way because I know we're not gonna get a lot of different shots.
hmm
Um, because it's like pretty simple stuff and we're in public and stuff, but the scenes are also long.
right.
So it's like you get 3 shots, but the scene itself is like 15 minutes of us just walking around.
Yeah.
None of the scenes were actually 15 minutes, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Felt like it sometimes.
Yeah, maybe they'll turn out to be. Who knows?
Yeah.
um,
Well, it's because
To
you
be
did the
decided.
same scene for half an hour.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That's a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit.
What was your favorite part of like the whole experience?
Mm, I think the elevator scene was like so controlled that like I think that was the second day too, right? Yeah, it was after Jefferson Station.
Yeah.
It was the second day,
Jefferson
so
Station, the most uncontrolled.
the most uncontrolled. Well, I think Washington was the worst.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
With all the kids running.
That was
was
crazy.
crazy.
Bro.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think that was also kind of when I started to like really understand like my point, like my kind of role in everything to,
Yeah.
you know, keep everybody quiet on set and like not, you know, keep the vibe, I guess, like moving and yeah, people can have fun, but like, you know, try to keep it in control like we were
Right.
talking about. But and you guys also like it's a pretty short scene, but you guys like really understood what I wanted to do for that one as well. So it was just like kind of perfect, and I felt like I was kind of picking things up at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my favorite. I mean, the whole thing, like honestly, the 4 days were probably the best 4 days of my life. But
Aw.
yeah, but yeah, what was yours?
Probably between Jefferson Station and the last night at the bar
Yeah,
on the rooftop, because that was like crazy. We were on like a time schedule,
Yeah.
like a time crunch, and we had to get through the scenes like not fast, but like we had to like be on our shit. And I felt like every time that me and Evelyn did it, it's like we kind of did it. I don't want to say perfectly, but like
you felt really
if
connected.
it
Mhm.
felt like so connected. It was like very easy, like speaking to you and like actually going through what we needed to go through. And I felt like that was like kind of like the best work we did from the whole thing. Even though I feel great about the whole thing, but
Sure.
I feel like that was like damn, that's the one.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
that was like an important scene for me. So I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's important for the entire movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
kind of the emotional turning point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite part?
I think when we were a few hours in Washington Square, which was the first thing that we shot, it was the first day of shooting and the first scene. Wow, whoever scheduled that was really smart. But yeah, I think after we'd been there for a few hours and we were getting towards the end of the scene, and at that point, I think it was like when we were pretty much wrapped there, but we are like, oh, we have to get food, 'cause we'd wrapped so early that like our lunch wasn't even ready yet.
Yeah.
But other people were starting to come because they'd like got out of film lab or whatnot. So we had like more of our crew present,
Right.
even
Yeah.
though they'd missed that first block of shooting or whatever.
So when the team kind of came together.
Yeah, I think that was like the first conception of the team in the park, and then it felt like as people kept coming, I was like,
The team is
the
here.
team is coming, the team
It was
is
like
forming.
that scene in Avengers where they're all coming out of the circle.
Yeah, for real. That's what it was. It was like everyone started pulling up their cars. I was like, oh my god. It's like, look at all this crafty we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a wonderful 4 days. So yeah, I wanted to check in with how you guys were emotionally after everything because for me, like I said, it was like the best 4 days of my life. I had after wrapping on the fourth day, I finished the last episode of Sopranos for the first time, and I hadn't been like drinking, and I had like just a celebratory small glass of bourbon, and it was just like wow, I did the thing, and it was
Yeah.
like, and it was just like the most amazing night of my life. And then the next day I had to go to work
Oh no.
early in the morning, and I like was just like a zombie. But like the rest of that week, I kind of gave myself time to like relax a little bit. And that weekend I did nothing. It was beautiful. I slept like 9 hours each night.
Wasn't that just last weekend?
Yeah, before Halloween, right?
Yes, last weekend.
But by the end of it, by Sunday, like the next week was starting. This past week was starting, and I was like, "Shit, what do I do now?" And
What is
like
life?
I had started feeling like around this time of year, especially, I do just get like kind of lonely. I think like there's some sort of fall winter depression that starts like
Seasonal
setting in.
depression.
Yeah, seasonal depression for sure.
Melancholy.
And like there had been such a hustle and bustle leading up to it that I didn't really get to acknowledge it, and so it all kind of smacked me in the face at once. So I was like riding this like volatile high, and then I just
Oh.
came down again. But I, it's times like those that I actually really appreciate the most because like I take steps to like so that Sunday I literally didn't talk to anybody. I listened to some philosopher that I really enjoy, Alan Watts. Kind of like made a point to like recenter myself and like work out and like clean, and I like cleaned my car that weekend and went grocery shopping, which I hadn't gone grocery shopping for like 2 weeks
Yeah, just tell me,
because it was
like, bro, I need to
crazy.
go grocery shop. I'm like,
Yeah,
just do it, bro.
just do it. Like it's a big deal. But yeah, and then yeah, I still kind of feel like I'm in a little bit of a limbo. Like, what do I do now, kind of
Mhm.
thing. Uh, but I started up therapy again today, which is
Oh,
good
nice.
to
Good
like
for you.
kind of help a little bit direction wise. But I think also this, like, while this is so much easier than a movie, but like setting this up and kind of like getting the lighting kind of new and like this is new too, kind
Mhm.
of recognizing like I had first thought that like going back to podcasting and maybe stand up, I might come back to that too, but in a way it felt like a step back, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I just did a movie, you know what I mean? I was a director on a movie, and it's like I should do something like that again. But um and I still have a lot of anxiety about like how the final product is going to be, of
Mhm.
course. But so just like taking the steps to get going again back into regular day-to-day life as
Yeah.
opposed to movie life
Mhm.
uh, has just been a big adjustment for me.
Mhm.
How do you guys feel post shooting?
Well, I will say, like, I think we all were just like physically tired.
Oh yeah,
So I was like very, very drained physically, but mentally, I felt very good. How does it go? How does the saying go? Don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened, and I'm smiling
sure.
because it did
It's
happen.
live, laugh, loving.
Yes,
Yeah,
live, laugh, love. No, but seriously though, like when we were on set, like I think I told you about this too. Like it's moments like this where like I really want to like cherish it in my life because like these moments are fleeting. They don't usually happen all the time, and it's
right.
special. So we should all like when things like this happen, we should all like take a moment and realize what's happening in our lives. And luckily, I did that. So yeah, I do feel like really good about it because it's very very special.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, no, I feel good now. I got my what 9 hours of sleep. Wait, that's what you
yeah.
said.
Like each
Yeah, I
night.
got
Yeah,
my sleep. Well, I was good. I'm recovering from
for sure.
a
Yeah, from
weekend now, but
Halloween. Yeah,
yeah, but now I feel very good. I feel like we set out to do something and we accomplished pretty much well almost everything. We don't know how it's gonna look, but
sure.
we
But
accomplished at least that part what we set out to do.
yeah, we did
Uh-huh.
the thing, dude.
We definitely did for sure.
That's like something that I've been calling people and like expressing some of my anxieties and concerns, and they're like, "Yeah, you did it though." And that was like the
Mhm.
first thing that Evelyn said after we wrapped at Bach Bar. She was like, "We did it." Like no matter
Yeah,
like
for
yeah,
sure.
there's still more to do, but like we
Mhm.
made the movie. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And that's kind of another reason why I think I wanted to do this as well to kind of like help that help me
Mhm.
sit in
Yeah.
that a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But what about you, Evelyn?
Yeah, I felt pretty good after. I agree, was totally exhausted, but it was pretty rejuvenating. I mean, I find being on sets that I like working on to be like very rejuvenating.
Mhm.
And it's like one of my favorite things about acting, which is just like being in a group collaboration and being part of something bigger, and doing this not just as an actor, but kind of behind the scenes too, is in no small part to feeling that feeling.
Mm.
And it was also very rewarding. Like, I remember telling people when I was um all stressed and talking about this, and trying to plan out everything about how we were gonna get everything together. I realized that like my reason to do it was kind of different than like normally why I like find a reason to act or something, but it was like to take on a bigger role. Um it was like purely just to challenge myself and like to see that I could do it. Um and like self-actualization.
Sure.
Learned I stole all these words from my finance book that I was also reading at the exact same time. But anyways, but yeah, so I felt really good after, because I felt the high of like being on set, but also felt the high of like having accomplished something with you guys, and I think that's like a really great feeling. And yeah, I do find it helpful to do, like, I started doing this at the beginning of this year. I like, after every set that I'm on, I give myself like a little questionnaire in my journal.
Mm.
I don't remember if you guys are journalers. I think you are.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a
But like,
while.
I have a little set of questions that I always ask myself. Kind of like journaling prompts, but they're like set specific.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I kind of always use that to like,
Are we allowed to know what they are?
yeah, it's
Okay.
like, what did you like about the set? What did you not like? What did you learn? And like, what will you take with you going forward?
Right.
Very basic stuff. And
Well, that's
it's
good.
like different for everything, and these answers were also different because it's like I was involved in it much differently.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, like another great way to just kind of cherish the moment and like fact that we did accomplish something,
Mm.
which outweighs any, to me at least, outweighs any kind of like anxiety or being annoyed for 1 second on set or whatever. Like, the net of it all is like much more positive, and
Sure.
like a very net positive experience,
Mm-hmm.
which is like the feeling that I will take with me going forward.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly like you said, Qsaun. I was like, I'm gonna take that. Like, it was the best 4 days of my life. You think I'm gonna
Mhm.
let that just like sit and
Mhm.
forget about it? Hey,
Yeah.
forget about
Hey.
it.
Hey, yo, I'm walking
Nah.
here.
I'm walking here. So what's next for you guys? Because I told you, I was like, I guess I just do this again, right? And I still got to work on the editing and everything.
Whatever God has planned for me, that's what's next.
Wow. Amen. Speaking of God's plan, did you see that Blink-182 knocked off Drake from the charts, baby? I love that album. I'm sorry, Qsaun. I'm sorry about your boy.
On to Evelyn.
All right,
Your
yeah.
opinions.
Evelyn, I know you're moving to New York, but like creativity, project, acting, fun-wise. Oh, you know.
Oh, you know. I got a lot.
Right, bro.
No, I don't really have it. Oh, but stop. Before this is how it comes and hits me. Let's see. Yeah, the immediate, project, the immediate administrative project. God, sounds so good already. Is moving.
Right.
And I guess the creative project after that is decorating my apartment to my liking.
Oh, wow.
What did you say? Oh no.
No, I said, oh, wow. I was like, you really do love interior design. That's
Well,
crazy.
I just okay. I mean, this is like a personal tangent
Sure.
that's not related to film or anything.
Go ahead.
But
Go off.
yes, I will. Don't worry, guys. I will. As I've, prepared for this move and such, I have come to realize that my external environment plays a very large factor in how I feel on my insides.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I always kind of knew this. Wait, are you being sarcastic?
No, it's like one of those things that like it seems really obvious, but it has to like hit you emotionally.
Yeah,
I've been through
I
it before.
agree.
That's why I think it's funny because it's like, oh, your things that surround you, your life impacts your emotions. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think like the level is different for everyone,
Yeah.
but I think it's higher for me. So, and I don't really know a lot about like design.
Mm.
Like I kind of know what I like things to look like, but I still get pretty confused. Like in terms of like design in general, and like I like put fashion in that category as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is just like this is about me now.
No. Yeah.
But like it's like I still think I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And like I know I'm like I like that, but I don't
Know if it'll play into
right. And I
what you want to your functional
right.
way.
And I'm like, but what do I add to yeah. So it just seems it's like a very big behemoth of a thing that I'm trying to figure out slowly but surely. So
Yeah.
that's my next creative project.
Sure.
And then once I get there, I guess I'll go to classes and kind of connect with a few people.
And try to figure it out up there. Start from zero.
Well, it isn't from zero. I mean,
it's
like
not from
she
zero.
has what she has now.
Yeah.
She's gonna carry that with her.
Right.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
It sounds like a cat every time you do it.
Meow. Meow.
Okay.
On to you. This camera.
This camera.
Let the people know what
Yeah.
you got going
Let
on
the
in your
people
life.
know. I think like my biggest thing was like I knew that was such a big project that I was gonna need some time to recenter. So yeah, kind of just like especially I had some new ideas for the podcast. I do like I enjoyed the set so much. And I really want to do more movies, but I know that it won't be nearly as organized and like beautiful as ours was.
Ours
So,
was very beautiful.
yeah.
Very
So
beautiful.
I still feel like I'm in this place of limbo, especially because until the movie comes out, which isn't gonna be till spring. Um.
Is that the timeline?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
so. Premiere in spring, March,
Okay.
Yeah.
April-ish. I think, just
Nice.
because I
Yeah.
don't want to rush anybody, and we already rushed so much. You know what I mean? I just don't want to stress anybody
We
out.
didn't rush that much.
Yeah, no, but it just felt like a lot.
Yeah.
And so I want this part to be a little easier, and I think springtime sounds like a good time for a release anyways, so I think between then and now, just kind of readapting, figuring out what I'm going to do with the podcast. Maybe if inspiration strikes me like it did the first time, go back to writing a little bit. But yeah, definitely recentering myself. Like, do I even want to do creative stuff anymore?
Yes, you
stuff.
do.
What?
But I
The
think you should
fuck?
ask yourself that question.
Yeah.
Reassess your
Yeah,
values and like,
True.
really figure out who you are. So that's kind of what I'm gonna do. I think.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
Seems like a kind of a big unknown, exciting unknown ahead of all of us in terms of creative and personal growth.
Yeah.
Which I say it out loud, it sounds much scarier. I mean, it's still scary, but I think it's more exciting than scary. I'm mostly
Yes.
just
Yeah.
saying that for myself because I don't believe that.
No.
either,
You
but-
don't have to
No,
backtrack.
yeah.
You don't have to backpedal on your own stuff because we agree.
But it's nervous, but all Evelyn said like you, anything can happen, right?
Yeah.
But like this happened too, and this is like very random. Like who would have thought? You're from Ohio.
Yeah.
You're from North Jersey.
Oof.
I'm from
I'm from
South-
Central Jersey.
that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist.
You're not even
Anyways,
from there. You're
anyways,
from South
anyways,
Jersey.
North and South.
You
I'm from
don't
South
get
Jersey.
an opinion.
Anyways, we're both from Jersey,
Yeah.
But she lived out in PA. I lived out in Jersey. We all came together. That seemed like if you were just from the outside looking in, it seems very random. But this all happened, and I'm a big believer in like everything happening for a reason. And I appreciate the fact that we all collaborated together.
Yeah.
If I would hope to collaborate in some form again, but even if this is just like the one and done kind of thing, I'm glad that we did it, and I'm glad that it was us that did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Aw, I think
Yes,
that
sir.
actually is a good place to wrap it, though. To wrap it up. But yeah, thank you guys so much for the whole experience and for coming out tonight. Yeah, and I guess we do a little mic bump, and that's the end, huh?
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. Thanks so much, guys.